Think about that diamond ring for a second. When Kit Green drops to one knee in front of Sarah Platt next week, is he really asking for her hand in marriage, or is he actually just trying to lock her in a cage? You see, in Weatherfield, a proposal is rarely just about love. Usually, it's about leverage. And Kit? Well, he is the absolute master of leverage. It's wild to think about, isn't it? One minute, he's the mysterious long-lost son of Bernie Winter, and the next, he's the man holding all the cards on the street. Was this proposal really just a romantic impulse? Or was it a cold, calculated move to make sure Sarah never speaks a word against him? I want to know what you think. Is Kit a hero who's finally found happiness, or is he a predator who's just found his next target? Let's look at the mess Kit has already made. Right now, he's officially been kicked off the Theo Silverton murder case. But does he walk away? No, of course not. He's hovering over the investigation like a hawk. He's watching Gary and Maria Windass argue on the street, and you can practically see the gears turning in his head. He tells Lisa Swain he's suspicious of them, but she shuts him down and reminds him he's off the case. The funny thing is, Kit doesn't care about the rules. He never has. To understand why he's doing this, you have to look at where he came from. He was given up for adoption by Bernie, and he spent his whole life feeling like he didn't matter. He spent years nursing that wound. And now, he's going to make sure he's the most important person in everyone's life, whether they like it or not. When he asks Sarah to marry him, he's doing it at her absolute lowest point. Sarah is drowning in guilt. She's terrified. Gary is literally begging her to keep her mouth shut, so he doesn't end up in prison. So, here comes Kit with a romantic lunch and a ring. It's the ultimate white knight move, isn't it? But it's fake. It's a classic move used by people who want total control. By saving Sarah from Gary's drama, he's making himself her only lifeline. He isn't just joining the Platt family, he's infiltrating it. Honestly, it's scary how good he is at this. He knows exactly when to play the hero and when to play the detective. Why do you think Sarah is even considering saying yes? Well, think about it. She's scared. She feels like her freedom is in Gary's hands. Kit knows this and he uses it. He actually tells her she needs to get Gary's phone so they can delete incriminating data. Can we just pause there? A police officer is telling his girlfriend to commit a crime to cover up another crime. That isn't love. That's a hostage situation disguised as a relationship. Kit is using Sarah to do his dirty work because he can't do it himself anymore. He's a social chameleon who knows exactly how to manipulate someone's fear to get what he wants. And then there's the whole situation with Maria. She's been so loyal to Gary, but she's reaching her breaking point. She's tired of the lies and the half-truths. So, she goes to the Rovers and pours her heart out to, you guessed it, Kit Green. She thinks she's just venting to a friend, but Kit is a detective. He doesn't just listen, he collects data. Every emotional confession Maria makes is just another weapon for Kit to use against Gary. It's honestly heartbreaking to watch Maria be so vulnerable with the one man who is actively trying to dismantle her family. Kit has replaced her support system with himself. He's become the stable one, the professional one. But underneath that police badge, there's a man who once got a guy to torch a convenience store just because his feelings were hurt. We can't forget that. Let's talk about Kit's past for a minute, because it explains everything. This is a guy who was part of a rough crowd in his youth. He has a son, Brody, that he didn't even know existed for years because he slept with a woman named Lou while her boyfriend was in prison. He's not a good guy who occasionally breaks the rules. He's a man who believes the rules don't apply to him at all. He framed Nathan Curtis, a convicted sex predator, just because he wanted to fix the situation. He didn't care about the truth. He cared about the result. That's a dangerous mindset for someone with a badge and a gun. It feels like Kit has this god complex where he gets to decide who is a villain and who is a hero. He views Gary Windass as an amateur. Gary breaks the rules and feels guilty about it. Kit breaks the rules and feels empowered. He's probably enjoying this rivalry. He isn't just trying to solve a murder. He's trying to erase Gary from the street entirely. If he gets Gary out of the way, he wins Sarah, he wins the case, and he wins the respect of the neighborhood. It's a triple win for a narcissist. The most chilling part of next week is when Kit gets a guy to wipe the data from Gary's phone. He doesn't tell the police. He doesn't put it in the system. He tells the guy to forward everything to his personal email address. Think about that for a second. He's collecting blackmail material. He isn't acting as a cop, he's acting as a digital kidnapper. He wants to own Gary's secrets so he can own Gary. It's a level of corruption that even Weatherfield hasn't seen in a long time. You think Lisa Swain is going to catch him? She's the only one who really seems to see through him. Their rivalry is the real battle for the soul of the police force. Lisa represents the law, but Kit represents his own ego. It's good versus good on the surface, but underneath, it's a war. Lisa has already told him to stay away, but Kit just ignores her. He thinks he's smarter than her. He probably thinks he's smarter than everyone. And then there's the Winter family. Kit's relationship with Bernie is so complicated. He spent months trying to turn her other children against her because he was so angry about being abandoned. He only reconciled because Paul was dying. It was a deathbed truce. But do you really think he's forgiven her? People like Kit don't just let go of 20 years of resentment. He's using the Winters as a humanity shield. Being part of their family makes him look like a tragic, misunderstood guy. It gives him cover. Whenever someone questions his shady police work, he can just point to his grieving family and people back off. It's a very clever way to hide in plain sight. The whole subplot with Idris and the mold in the flats also ties back to Kit in a weird way. Idris is this new, ruthless landlord who uses Kit's son, Brody, to do his dirty work. They literally kidnap a former landlord to get answers. This shows that the corruption in Kit's life is spreading. It's like the mold in Alfie's bedroom. It's an infection. Kit is the rot behind the walls. He's teaching his son that the only way to get results is through violence and manipulation. He's passing down his own trauma and his own toxic behavior to the next generation. It's a cycle that's going to end in a disaster, isn't it? Think about poor Betsy and Dylan, too. Betsy is unconscious in a hospital bed, and Dylan is being arrested at the precinct. It's chaos. And while everyone is distracted by that drama, Kit is in the shadows, siphoning data from a stolen phone. He thrives in the chaos. He uses it as a smokescreen. He doesn't care about those kids. He only cares about how their situation might affect his own goals. When Dylan says he thinks Brody was involved in what happened to Betsy, you can bet Kit is going to find a way to fix that, too. Not because he wants to help Dylan, but because he needs to protect his own legacy. I honestly believe Kit is the most dangerous person on Coronation Street right now. He's dangerous because he's convinced himself he's one of the heroes. Even the fan wikis call him a protective protagonist. But who is he really protecting? Himself. Everything he does, the proposal, the blackmail, the reconciliation with Bernie, is designed to ensure his own survival and his own power. He's building a kingdom on the street, and Sarah Platt is just the latest piece of furniture he's moving into his house. So, what happens if Sarah says yes? My prediction is that it will be the biggest mistake of her life. She'll think she's safe, but she'll actually be married to a man who knows all her secrets and isn't afraid to use them. She'll be living with a detective who is constantly investigating her. It's not a marriage. It's an interrogation that never ends. And what happens when Gary finds out about the phone? Or when Maria realizes she's been feeding information to a wolf in sheep's clothing? The walls are going to close in on Kit eventually. They always do in Weatherfield. But how many people is he going to take down with him when he finally falls? The timing of this proposal is just so perfect for Kit. He knows the Windass and Platt alliance is falling apart. He senses the weakness. It's like he's a predator waiting for the herd to split up so he can pick off the most vulnerable member. Sarah is that member. She's emotionally exhausted, she's feeling guilty, and she just wants someone to tell her everything is going to be okay. Kit is happy to tell her that as long as she does exactly what he says. It's a textbook case of emotional manipulation. Have you ever noticed how Kit never seems to have a real goal? The sources say his goals are unknown. That's because his goal is simply control. He doesn't want a specific thing. He wants to be the one who decides what happens to everyone else. He wants to be the director of the show. When he was helping Paul at the end, was it out of love? Or was it because he wanted to be the hero who got Billy to the phone in time? It feels like every good deed he does has a hidden price tag attached to it. I want to go back to that moment in the Rovers with Maria. She's crying, she's tired, and she tells Kit that she's fed up with the lies. Kit probably felt a surge of excitement in that moment. To a normal person, a friend's marriage failing is a tragedy. To Kit, it's a lead. It's an opening. He doesn't see a woman in pain. He sees a crack in Gary's defense. It's a cold way to live, isn't it? Everything is a transaction. Every relationship is a tool. What do you think is going to happen with the Theo Silverton case? DC McLaughlin tells Lisa they're ready to arrest the murderer. If they arrest someone else, Kit loses his leverage over Gary. So, he has to make sure the right person gets caught. He's probably going to use that phone data to frame whoever he needs to frame to keep himself on top. He's already done it with Nathan. He has a history of deciding who is guilty based on what's convenient for him. That isn't justice. It's just Kit Green's version of the truth. I'm really worried for the Winter family, too. Bernie thinks she's finally got her son back. She thinks she's redeemed herself. But she's letting a man into her life who spent months harassing her. Does a person like Kit ever truly change? Or is he just mellowing because it's easier to manipulate people when they trust you? I think he's playing the long game with her. He's going to wait until she's at her happiest, and then he's going to remind her of exactly what she did to him. He's a man who nurses grudges like they're pets. And what about Brody? Kit is finally building a relationship with his son, but he's doing it by involving him in kidnappings and dirty work for Idris. He's not being a father, he's being a gang leader. He's teaching Brody that the only way to be a man is to be ruthless. It's heartbreaking. Brody could have had a fresh start, but instead, he's being molded into a mini version of Kit. The protective protagonist is actually destroying the very person he's supposed to be protecting. The mold story with Idris and the Websters is a perfect metaphor for the whole show right now. On the surface, everyone is trying to move on and be happy. But underneath, there's this toxic, black rot that's making everyone sick. Kit is that rot. He's the thing you can't see, but you can feel it in the air. He's the reason people are falling apart. He's the reason the trust is gone. And the worst part is, he's convinced everyone he's the one who's going to clean it up. So, I've got two big questions for you to think about. First, do you think there's any part of Kit that actually loves Sarah? Or is this whole relationship just a tactical move to defeat Gary? Can a man like Kit even feel real love? Or is he too caught up in his own games? And second, do you think Gary Windass is actually the murderer? Or is Kit just using the investigation to destroy a man he doesn't like? Is Gary really a killer? Or is he just a guy who's made a lot of mistakes and is now being hunted by someone much worse than him? I really want to hear your theories on this. Coronation Street has had its share of villains, from Richard Hillman to Pat Phelan, but Kit feels different. He's more subtle. He's got the law on his side. He's got a family that loves him. He's got a girlfriend who trusts him. He's perfectly positioned to cause the most damage. It's going to be wild to see how this all blows up. Because it will blow up. In Weatherfield, the truth always finds a way to the surface, no matter how much data you delete from a phone. The next few weeks are going to be a roller coaster. We've got a wedding proposal, a murder arrest, a hospital crisis, and a kidnapping all happening at the same time. And at the center of it all is Kit Green, the man with the ring and the secret email. He thinks he's won. He thinks he's the hero of the story. But I think he's about to find out that when you play with people's lives like they're chess pieces, eventually someone is going to flip the board. If you're as obsessed with this storyline as I am, make sure you stick around. We're going to be breaking down every episode, every spoiler, and every secret as the Theo Silverton case finally comes to a head. There are so many layers to Kit Green, and we've only just started to peel them back. Is he the savior of the street, or is he its biggest threat? I think we all know the answer deep down, but watching it play out is going to be incredible. The way Kit is handling Dylan's arrest is also very telling. He's letting Lisa Swain take the heat for being the bad guy who arrested a teenager. Meanwhile, he's probably in the background pretending to be the cool uncle who understands. He's always playing both sides. It's how he stays so popular while doing such terrible things. He lets other people be the face of the harsh reality while he stays the face of support. It's a brilliant strategy, but it's so incredibly fake. And can we talk about Cassie for a second? She's caught up in her own drama with Tyrone's father, Ross. It's another story about a parent returning and causing chaos. It's like a theme on the street right now. Everyone is trying to find their family, but all they're finding is more trouble.
Kit is the ultimate example of that.
He found his family, but instead of bringing them peace, he's brought them his own brand of corrupt justice. He's fixed their problems by creating new ones. I think Sarah is going to regret stealing that phone. Even if she does it for Kit, she's going to realize that she's now his accomplice. She's not his partner. She's his partner in crime. And once you've done something like that for a man like Kit, you can never go back. He'll always have that over her. He'll always be able to say, "Remember when you stole that phone from me? Remember when we deleted that evidence?" He's building a case against her while he's building a life with her. It's terrifying. The funny thing is, Kit probably thinks he's doing Sarah a favor. In his head, he's the hero who's helping her escape Gary's influence. He probably doesn't even see himself as a blackmailer. He just sees himself as a fixer. But you can't fix a life by breaking the law. You can't build a marriage on a foundation of stolen data and secret emails. It's all going to come crashing down, and Sarah is going to be caught in the middle of it. I wonder what David Platt thinks of all this. He's already had a rivalry with Kit because of Shona and Daisy. David has a pretty good villain radar, doesn't he? He's been through enough drama to know when someone is bad news. I hope he's the one who eventually figures out what Kit is up to. It would be classic Corey if the man who everyone thinks is a troublemaker is the one who ends up saving the day. David versus Kit? Now that's a fight I'd love to see. Anyway, it's going to be a massive week on the cobbles. From romantic lunches to police arrests, the tension is through the roof. Make sure you don't miss a second of it. And while you're watching, keep a close eye on Kit. Watch his eyes when he's talking to Maria. Watch how he handles that ring. There's always something more going on beneath the surface with him. He's the most interesting character we've had in years, and I can't wait to see where this goes. The thing about Kit is that he's a master of the gray area. He's not quite a villain, but he's definitely not a hero. He's an anti-hero who's slowly losing his way. Or maybe he never had a way to begin with. Maybe he's just always been this person, and we're only now seeing the full extent of it. When he was investigating Theo, he seemed so focused on the truth. But now, it's clear he's only focused on his truth. And that's a very different thing that I really feel for Gary in all of this. I know he's done some bad things, but he's trying to be a better man. He's trying to protect Maria and the kids. Kit, on the other hand, isn't trying to be better. He's just trying to be more powerful. It's a classic battle between a man who's trying to redeem himself and a man who thinks he doesn't need redemption. I'm rooting for Gary, but Kit has the badge. And in Weatherfield, the badge usually wins, at least for a while. What do you think Sarah's answer will be? Part of me thinks she'll say yes just because she's so desperate for some stability. She's been through so much with Gary and Adam, and here's this solid police officer offering her a fresh start. But if she says yes, she's signing a contract with a man who could destroy her in a heartbeat. It's a high-stakes gamble, and the odds are not in her favor. I hope she takes a second to think before she puts that ring on. And let's not forget about poor Bernie. She's finally got her family together, but it's built on a lie. Kit's reconciliation with her is fragile at best. If she finds out he's been blackmailing Beth or framing people, her whole world will fall apart again. She's already lost so much with Paul's illness. She doesn't need this kind of drama in her life. But Kit doesn't seem to care about that. He only cares about his own agenda. It's also interesting how Kit uses his drinking at the Rovers hobby to gather information. He's always there, always watching, always listening. It's the perfect cover for a detective. People feel comfortable talking to him because they think he's just one of them. But he's not. He's always on the job, even when he's off the clock. He's a predator who's always hunting, and the Rovers is his favorite hunting ground. I'm also curious about Idris and his ruthless business methods. How far is he willing to go? And how much of that is going to rub off on Brody? If Kit is the one providing the protection for Idris's shady dealings, then he's even more corrupt than we thought. He's not just a bad cop, he's a criminal enterprise with a badge. It's a terrifying thought, but it fits everything we've seen from him so far. The mold in the flat is such a powerful image for this whole storyline. It's something that starts small and hidden, but if you don't deal with it, It spreads and makes everyone sick.
Kit is the mold.
He's been spreading through the street for months, and now the effects are starting to show. People are getting sick, mentally, emotionally, and physically. And unless someone deals with him, the whole street is going to be condemned. Anyway, that's my take on the trials and secrets of Kit Green. He's a fascinating, terrifying, and brilliant character who's changing the face of Coronation Street. Whether you love him or hate him, you can't look away. And that's the sign of